Hey, what's up, people? This episode is brought to you by Beach Volleyball National Events. Beach Volleyball National Events, BVNE, is the biggest Get Noticed showcase in the United States of America. We're in Florida, we're in Texas, we're in Colorado, and of course, we're in California, the mecca of beach volleyball. Want your kid to get noticed? We have as many as 20 to 25 recruiters come out for the showcases. USC, UCLA, Stetson, LSU, FSU, anything that ends with a U. Beach Volleyball National Events. Come play with us. It's also brought to you by NY Varsity Sports. That's me. That's me, the NYV. Watching me, watching you. This is episode 55. Oh, I got Jeff Samuels, and the episode starts right now. Guess who's back? Back again.
Hey.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Ladies and gentlemen, the Enigma Beach Volleyball, the winner of the Motherlode, winner of God knows who and what else. He plays with young people. He plays with old people. Comes out the other end smelling like a rose. Jeff Samuels!
Yo. What's up, Jay?
So
Been a minute, buddy.
you're in North Kakalaka right now, huh?
Yeah. Just getting ready to play this tournament out in Wilmington tomorrow. Yeah, should be fun. It's nice to be able to get on the court every once in a while.
Who you playing with?
Tomorrow I'm playing with a guy, Mark Fornicari. I mean, I don't know if anyone says his last name right, but yeah.
God damn it, Jeff. Try.
Yeah. Fornicari.
Oh,
Sorry, dude, I'm
yeah.
butchering.
Nah,
butchering.
I think Fornicati. I like that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna do it.
So I wanted to sign up, and they were full. And he had a partner get hurt, so he's like, "Hey, do you want to play?" And sure. So I
just tagging this.
Sorry, the dog is like going absolutely nuts right now.
Of course, there's a cat in the room.
Yeah, two kittens and a dog.
That's hilarious. All right, tagging you and Sharon. There it is. That's just for the live version. So Jay, let's talk a little bit about the Atlantic City tournament. Was that the first time you were at the AVP America one?
Yeah, never been to Atlantic City before. It was pretty chill. I like the spot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Oh man, you look good. You played with Doc, right?
Yeah, I played with DR once again, and it was pretty chill for the most part. Not exactly the result we want, but you know,
it's all right.
Good to be back on the court.
Listen, he looks like when he's in a tournament, he always looks like he's working through some stuff. And I would love for him to get to a point where, like all the hard work he put in, he doesn't think about it. He just gets out there and he does it. You know, sometimes I think he thinks too much. You know. Sometimes, you know, as someone who actually cornered for you guys once, actually in New York City, you know, I think if both of you, I'm not just him, I sound like I'm putting it all on him. I think a lot of the stuff he thinks is harder than it really is. I think if he keeps a lot of the stuff simple, like if cut's open, if it looks like it's open, it's probably because it really is. Yeah. You know, wrist away, if they're showing you that little bit, if it's there, it's probably because it really is. He's such a good athlete. He's such a good jump server. He's such a ferocious digger, defender. You know, he personalizes his work, which can work against you, but in a lot of cases works for him.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, a lot of it, clearly volleyball is mental just like any other sport. And a lot of us have a tendency to go out and overthink what we get out there and do every day. So I could always agree with that side of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I think we've been playing long enough to know what the hell paralysis through analysis is.
Yeah.
All right. I just tagged you on my wall, so it's on my name. And
are we on Facebook and Instagram or just Facebook?
No, just Facebook. If someone were teching my show, maybe I would be on both. Listen, you've done a magnificent job super subbing for Miranda, who's my original tech, but I also think having an active player on the pro scene was it was great for me because it was just like having another body in a room where the episodes were more interesting. Like Casey Jennings was interesting, you know, and you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah, that was a fun one.
yeah, and you guys were a few months away from removed from winning Motherlode at that time, if I remember.
Yeah,
Right?
correct. It wasn't too
That was
far
right
away.
after that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then it was you and Dougie Fresh. Doug
Yeah,
I'm
Dougie and
sure-
I. That was probably my most fun episode I did with you.
easily my most fun episode. You know, I mean, as
Yeah.
far as having a one-on-one, Jason Olive, he's always fun to talk to, but having you and Doug in the same room, I was pretty sure y'all gonna hit up. Area 51.
We could have went there. Did we go there? I thought we did.
Yeah, I didn't. I think that's when I ended the episode. I said, "All right, bye. We done. Bye." Let me move my chair up. God damn. We got Israel Adesanya coming up.
I'm ready for that already. I've been ready for that.
Yeah, that's our boy, man. Let me actually let me take a second. I'm gonna pull up this card for us. Take a look at it so everybody can see. Boom. So here it is right here. And that dude, Paulo Costa, is a motherfucker, dude.
Uh-huh.
That dude is 13 wins, 12 KOs, or 12 finishes.
Yeah.
And the only one that went to a decision was Yoel Romero, which we both know is really, really hard to finish.
Yeah, you're not probably going to finish him.
This dude's Zabarat Tukagov is a good fighter too. Who else? Anyone we know? Johnny Walker. You remember him? He had a pretty good fight against Anderson.
Yeah.
That's actually, let me figure out when that is. That's actually up there. That's 9/19. That's September 19th.
Oh.
But the other one, dude, is this weekend. Daniel Cormier against Stipe Miocic.
It's back.
Yeah, man. Well, he wants to retire. He kept saying he wanted to retire when he was 40, but you know what happened? A heavyweight title match became attractive, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Everyone wants to retire, but the money's lucrative and
And
nothing's ever going to make you feel that way you
Yeah.
felt when you were out there, you know, winning world titles or playing on the AVP or whatever it is. So it's tough. It's tough to retire. I feel like I see it in all these guys. They all want to, and they know they should. Like, do you think Mayweather will ever fight again?
Yes.
I'd bet on it. I'd probably put money on it.
Yeah. Even though 50 fights, 50-0 would be, dude, that would be so ideal.
Well, is he above 50 now? Is he 51?
I think he did fight a year ago, yeah. But he should have left it at 50. Knocking out Conor McGregor and one of the biggest paydays for both of them was
that wasn't even
good.
was that the last one?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. I could look that up. Here we
Was
go.
Bruner before that or after that?
That's
Or
I like that.
Adrian Bronner, whatever his name is, or who did he fight?
Oh no. But I tell you this, I'm glad that if I had to do like a top 5 highlights for Floyd Mayweather, one was when that guy interviewing him, and I can't believe his name is escaping me, was trying to make it about something else, and Floyd was trying to make it about the fight, and he's like, you know what, you've been hating on me since day one, man. I ain't gonna.
He said, you don't even know boxing.
Yeah, I ain't gonna give you the answers you want to hear. This is my interview.
Yeah.
If I were 50 years younger, I'd kick your. That's what the guy.
But then what if Floyd said? Oh, Floyd said, you ain't gonna do shit.
You got some balls. Come on, man. Larry Merchant. That's his name.
Larry Merchant. Yeah.
Larry Merchant. Stop it, because you know you ain't gonna. 50 years, 60 years, 40 years, however many years, you are not gonna. You will do absolutely nothing. You are not gonna beat Floyd Mayweather on the best year or the best day, with a metal glove and a base in one hand and a baseball bat in the other. Sorry.
Yeah. Good luck.
Damn. Oh,
That
damn.
guy's lightning fast.
Yeah, they all coming out. Aaron Wexler says, "What up, Jeff?" Tim,
Yo, AWEX.
Tim Driscoll, yo. Todd Sloan, what's up?
Tim.
Yeah. So, I always like have you on my show because I think we are not shy to talk about subjects and topics that some people feel might make them lose friends, or how do you say that? That might make them be disinterested. You know, I think
We're not always as politically correct as most people would probably like us to be, but
Yeah. Well, I would categorize you as not always, and me as kind of never. And help me with that. You did in
Yeah.
one of our previous podcasts. You said, Jay, you being yourself and not giving a shit what everybody else thinks. He says that's golden out here. We were in the West Coast, and you're like,
Yeah.
dude, don't lose that. So
Yeah. I mean, everything's got to be in moderation, obviously, and anything can be pushed too far. But
yep.
I think willing to like accept yourself and just put all that out there and, not think about what other people think. Obviously, you want to be tasteful and you want to like have friends and influence people, but you definitely want to do that while being you. And the other people who don't, vibe with that, they really weren't in your life stream to begin with. So
yeah,
don't worry about it. Everyone will have to let you know when they feel better about it.
Yeah. He's like, yep.
Yeah.
Well, for me personally, because I'm older, I'm much older, and you learn these things just everywhere you go. I was in the military, so I traveled. Indoor volleyball, I traveled, and now here I'm in California, and I knew that if I didn't do it my way, two bad things were going to happen. One, if I did it someone else's way just to get with a certain crowd or just to get what I want faster, there are two worst case scenarios that just scared the shit out of me. One, you kind of feel like you're selling your soul. You kind of feel like you're being somebody else just because you get what you want. And I've always been a something for nothing guy. I'm from Brooklyn, dude.
Yeah.
If you need a shirt, here, take my shirt. What do I owe you? Fuck out of here. What do you owe me? So one, I feel like I'd be selling that part of myself out. And the second thing is, and this is where you might make you laugh, I might not be led in the clique anyway. So I might do everything their way and not get in it anyway. So there I am on the outside looking in, and I sold my soul.
Dude, that was what I was going to say is even if you're in the clique, like you're really not in it or you won't be accepted, you may be like cool enough to hang out, but like never fully be accepted in a group that you had to change yourself to be a part of. So because that stuff's way beyond like cognitive function. It's just like one of the things we talk about is like controlling your frame. And if you control your frame, being yourself, and you find a group that vibes with that, or a certain group of people that you like, that you're comfortable being in your own skin around, that's kind of irreplaceable. You may be able to hang out with other people, and I don't mean cool like they're cooler than you, because obviously nobody's cooler than you, Jay, and we're not cooler than anyone else either. But a lot of people seem to try to like think that way, like I don't know.
I think it's
my little.
Isn't it amazing though that people don't outgrow that? Like to me, that's shit that I worried about when I was in junior high school or high school. And here people are grown ass men, in their mid late 30s.
It's not
40s.
really, it's like, it's crazy because humans have come this far and haven't learned how to outgrow things like that. But it doesn't strike me as something that's crazy that people don't do that, because there's a lot of stuff that like we as humans do every day, or dumb things like racism and sexism and stuff like that, and like that we had like how have we learned to do all these things, but we haven't gotten any better at like some things that are super basic. It's kind of crazy, but at the same time, the way things are going, it's not surprising.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, on a smaller scale, like I like to make fun of people, but sometimes like people that don't know me that well, sometimes I feel like I got to bring it back. Like Alzina, I had Alzina on the podcast last week. That other Jeff, the guy, by the way. If you looked at his profile on the AVP, like some people had their Instagram, whatever, or some people had their, like Dane. They put Olympic gold medalist. Jeff Alzina, they put coach on all levels. They didn't know. The guy has been everywhere. So I was talking to him about Jake Gibbs nutrition. And and just how well he takes care of his body. But I was teasing Jake saying he's got a 20-year-old body, but like a 50-year-old face. I'm like, why is this dude 40 and I'm 50? Why the hell is it I'm the one that looks like I'm 40 and he's the one that looks like he's 50? And it's something that's funny. And Jake, if like I suspect he does, if he has thick skin, like I think he could handle it. But if I'm wrong, then I just officially attacked a volleyball player without volleyball. Like Jeff, you know me, I call people out, but no time. But at no time do you really hear me attacks a volleyball player. I attack a volleyball player with volleyball. You never hear me say anything outside the bounds. If you play like a bum, that's related to volleyball. I didn't say you look like a bum, So I actually reached out to him. I said, listen, if you're thick skinned, cool, but if you're not, I was out of line because that's rare. And he texts me back and he says, dude, I am old. And he said, I didn't see the episode, but I don't care. I'm good, So it was my initial whatever, but it's something on a small scale example of just like, I talk shit and it's fun and this and that, but sometimes, and that's not political correctness. That's just sometimes just being polite. You don't know that dude. Me and Jake ain't tight like that. He's cool with everybody, but we ain't tight like that.
Right.
And on a larger scale, I mean, dude, just this political and racial climate is all the evidence you need to support your assertion. Like people in the face of evidence, in the face of seeing stuff with your own two eyes, they still don't take it in and they still don't believe it. And they're still not willing to self-examine, You wanted to say something. Look at you.
Yeah, I don't really even like this whole thing going on is kind of like, to me, in a way, like I might be one of the only people that's like, this is great. I think it's great because it's not like this started happening and then all these racist people like popped out of nowhere. Like, I'm a new racist. Like, it's been there the whole time. And a lot of people just haven't really been able to be exposed to it, to know that it is there. And so let's just like put it in perspective, even with African Americans or black people, or I like to say my people because I'm not really black. But,
what you mean, yo, people?
my people, yeah, or our people, sure. Who's going to be exposed to more racism, right? Someone who lives in a higher demographic of black people, or the one black kid that lives in the white neighborhood, right? So when I grew up in Detroit, I wasn't exposed to racism. I moved to the suburbs, all white people, racism on a daily basis. So even some black people don't really understand how bad racism is. And then obviously people who are not minorities, most of them are not exposed to any racism, or maybe they've seen it happen to someone else. But, until you're affected by it on a daily basis, it's not really concerning to you. But the good thing is that a lot of people are becoming aware of what's going on. There have been more and more people who have come forward. It's you could look at this as, oh, it's terrible what's going on. And I'm like things had to have been brought to light before they can actually be changed. And I've seen more support, especially from people who are not minorities or who are not the disenfranchised or whatever you want to call it. People, I've seen so much more support from that end than ever, because they just, they didn't really know what was happening. It's really not a great excuse, but at least now we are making steps in the right direction. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, I think there had to be an inciting incident that made national news that put everything over the top. And of course, rioting. I don't condone rioting, but when people start rioting and not in their own neighborhoods, you're gonna have that attention too, right? Like, if you remember South Central or whatever, in 1992, a lot of the rioting happened in the like-minded areas where, I'm like, why are we destroying our own mama and papa joints? Why not? If we're really mad, why don't we, why don't they or we go to Beverly Hills and get some real attention? Like Yusuf Hawkins. Don't know if you know the name.
No.
Nah. For those of you listening at home, Yusuf Hawkins in 1989 was a guy that went to Bensonhurst to buy a car. Now, Bensonhurst is a neighborhood in Brooklyn that's predominantly Italian American and Jewish American that sound like Italian Americans, and a handful of Puerto Ricans that sound like Italian Americans. So Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, everybody, you're the product in your environment, you pick up the accent, you know?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Seems like, you know, peaceful neighborhood. It's so weird because when I went there, I lived there for 2 years. Peaceful neighborhood. Everyone's cool. Everything's all right. And you don't notice the racism until, again, like you said, you see a black face. You know, black guy walks in the room and like, why is the whole restaurant silent? This is weird. Why is everybody
I get
silent?
a lot of ladies, and, you know, sometimes it could just be because I'm a man, but
Yeah.
I doubt it. Like, I'll pass them in like the grocery store or whatever it may be, and they like grab their purse and like clutch it all tight, and I'm like,
You should clutch your shit
Yeah.
too then. Next time they do that, you know what you should do this. Clutch your shit too.
Well,
Clutch.
well, yeah. and
In
it's
fact,
not
don't
even, you know,
eyeball them. Do one of these.
That lady may even like be
Yeah.
the same lady that would like, you know, give me a ride home if my car broke down,
Yeah.
or, you know, like,
If
so
she knew you.
I realize stuff like that. Like, I'm not,
Mhm.
I feel like I've been in so many different situations and different types of people that I can kind of separate that sort of stuff. You know, but it is like a thing that we see in movies and, you know, TV commonly, that, you know, that black men are all aggressive and they rob and steal and like that sort of stuff. And there's just like, I mean, white people do the same thing, you know? So it just kind of really depends on typically where you're at. And you know, what kind of situations you're putting yourself in. But I mean, the whole, like, I don't know if I look very aggressive, but I get that a lot in the grocery store, the old purse clutch, you know, or like bring the children closer type deal.
Yeah. And again, you know what you
but
should do? You should clutch your bag, do one of these peripheral things, like you're not looking them in the eye, and then when you try to get by them, just fucking run.
yeah, like, oh my
Just
god, oh my
start
god, oh
walking
my god.
faster. Like Chris Rock said, he got into an elevator full of white teenagers, and it was after like the Colorado shooting, and he said, "I jumped the fuck off of that elevator. I am scared of young white boys."
Yeah.
No, but anyway,
hilarious.
Yusuf Hawkins, right? East New York, one of the roughest neighborhoods in Brooklyn, predominantly African American, some Latino, but back then Latino people identified with being black before they, you know, the culture shock of the late 80s and 90s or whatever. But there was a car they saw in the newspaper they wanted to look at and buy, and the car was in Bensonhurst. Now, timing is everything. There's a girl that lived in Bensonhurst who broke up with her Italian boyfriend and started dating a black man. Her birthday was coming up, and she said she's inviting her boyfriend and 20 to 25 other black men, and if anyone has a problem with it, they're ready. They're coming ready to brawl. So there's jealousy, there's rage. Someone a bunch of shades darker in complexion, and Hawkins comes with his two friends, his brother and his friend, into Bensonhurst. One of the Italian guys just see three black people.
Not 25.
That's right. No, but they, first of all, they misidentified him. Yusuf Hawkins had nothing to do with this girl. Yusuf
Nothing
Hawkins
to do.
is
Oh,
a
got
guy.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yusuf Hawkins is a guy who lived in East New York that was just there to look for a car.
Yeah.
And this Italian guy, him and a couple of friends were like, that's. He says, why else would any black people be in this neighborhood? So basically, they all came armed with bats, ready to do a pound, ready to pounce or whatever, and then. Two gunshots went off. Everybody ran like hell. Yusuf Hawkins got shot, pronounced dead. The mom couldn't figure out what the hell happened. And Al Sharpton, they picked him up. And this was bad because Al Sharpton at the time was fresh off the Tawana Brawley case. And Tawana Brawley was a girl who said that 5 white guys beat her up and raped her. And Al Sharpton was her attorney, and there was a civil rights movement, this outrage, you know, what are you going to do about it? You're not looking hard enough. And then like 2 weeks later, she admitted she made it up.
Yeah, she was lying, yeah.
So if sometimes when you're the devil's advocate, you know what happens? You kind of wind up looking like the devil yourself. So Al Sharpton became this guy's like, oh, a race baiter. Oh, he's a shit starter and this and that. So when they brought him on, Al was like, I might not be, dude, I might not be the best man for this job. I mean, I'm fresh off of this. Maybe I need to lay
Yeah.
low. But to his credit, he, and to their credit, they stuck together. And their protest, by the way, were in Bensonhurst. And then this cool neighborhood where they filmed Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta, Bay Ridge is right next to it. All of a sudden, when a bunch of black people are protesting, peaceful demonstration, you see white people, the Italians doing this, nigga go home, the N-word, pictures of water, taking pictures, 3 guys with a watermelon. And I'm like, damn, I didn't know. And my friends are like, Jay, you should have known. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is why I'm being mixed. I'm flying under the radar. And the reason why I brought up that story is because you didn't know how people were until people throw it, bring it front and center. So New York was supposed to be this culturally diverse place where black and white people just want to move to because they were under the impression racial harmony was existing here, and in many neighborhoods it was. But 89, 87, and 91 was the height of racial tension in New York City.
Yeah, you never know, man. I was the kid that grew up in the white neighborhood for part of my life. And it was a rude awakening to me because the same kid sitting next to you in lunch may be the same kid that gets drunk at a party and calls you the N-word, and just like several experiences like that, like when I was growing up, my neighbors, first tried to jump me, 3 of them, three boys, 3 brothers for I don't really know why. And I was pretty much the first black kid to move in my neighborhood. And then, they spray painted the N-word on the side of my house after that. So it was just like, and later on I actually became friends with one of the kids, he grew out of his whatever, but you never know, man. Like, you never know who's going to be the closet racist. Like everyone's not just like blatantly racist in front of everyone. And so, it happens in different forms.
It's taught. I mean, it's taught. Racism and usually comes from an inherent fear of what you don't understand, right? And 2, the inherent belief that one is superior or inferior based on their race.
That we're all different from each other because we're not. We're one race, human race, and
there it is.
That's what matters the most. We can't even get along with each other over here. How are we supposed to fight any foreign countries, or if aliens decide to come? Like, we're so divided. What are we gonna do?
Did anyone ever tell you don't sound like a black guy over the phone?
All the time. I
know Dane gets it too.
In the days where you ordered things over the phone, like pizza, or I want to come in and get a massage. Can you take me at this time? And I walk in and I'm like,
you're like,
Jeff,
no, we're looking for Jeff Samuels.
No, yeah, exactly.
I know Dane gets it. Look, the first time I heard Dane do
bet
color,
he does, yeah.
The first time I heard Dane do color commentary, I thought he was some fucking blonde-haired surfer dude. He says he's got to go out and face the hitter, and this and that, and I'm like, wow, cool. And me being mixed, me being mixed, you definitely know I'm from the city, but I don't think anyone knows if I'm black or white either. So,
you're one that.
Go ahead.
You're one I wouldn't be able to tell. Like I would be thinking, I'm really good at it. I'm really, really good at it. Like I can tell when, like over the phone, like if someone just has their interview voice going, or it's like their real voice, or like if they're black and sound white, or white and sound black, like. I don't know why, but I'm good at, that's like one of my hidden talents, I think.
Cool, man. Yeah. Well, for me growing up on Flatbush, I'm mixed, but I'm a few shades lighter, and you're in an all black neighborhood and you're like one of the only white guys. I just moved from Coney Island. I mean,
Yeah.
from school to home, I'm running for my life, dude. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, so it's like it's not like, and that's not reverse discrimination. It's just discrimination. Okay. Um, to put it in the humorous fashion, black people in my neighborhood didn't have time to dice up their white people. You know, if you're a cracker, you're a cracker. If you're Romanian, you're a Romanian cracker. You know, you're Russian, you're a Russian cracker. So,
Yeah.
um,
Totally.
so the racism, like you said, exists on all ends, and it really, again, I double down on this. It really comes from being afraid, getting like a shock of what you're not used to seeing. You know, like you're in an all white party. You walk in, maybe they're not racist, but there is this initial whatever, like, fuck. This is an all white neighborhood. That's the first black guy I saw in like a year.
Yeah.
I had kids go to boot camp, and the first black person they saw was the drill sergeant. How's that for an ass fucking experience?
Yeah.
A guy in your face, scary as hell, African American. You never saw a black man in your life in person until boot camp.
Damn.
He's smiling because
Rude awakening right there.
Yeah. Listen, uncomfortable question. I asked Greg this, but I'm gonna ask you this. Have you found yourself becoming a white whisperer?
You're gonna have to let me know what that means.
Good. That's good. If you don't know what that means, that is a good thing. But a white whisperer is basically amid this racial climate. And white people are just trying to better understand Black Lives Matter. To them, to some of these people, all lives matter, but they want to understand why people are saying Black Lives Matter. And to their credit, or to their demise, they're like, maybe I should talk to a black man about this, which I think is a smart thing. It's a smart thing for white people because white people don't want to make decisions on their own because they think their decisions are what put black people in this plight anyway. Right? So you don't want a whole bunch of white people be like, they're being treated unfairly. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get 10 of my white friends. We're going to get a game plan, and this is how we're going to treat them. No. So,
right.
So to their credit, they need to sit down and have a conversation with black people or their black friends.
Or just someone who knows. I mean, there are plenty of white people who know our history as a country.
Yep.
And all the statistics and all this stuff, even more than I do. You know, I know what's going on because I've been in the fight, right? Like I've experienced racism, so I could tell you on my own account and put my own numbers and ratios together and tell you what's going on. It's pretty easy to kind of understand it, but there are actual there are white people who hit me with the numbers, and I'm like, great, that's exactly what I put together in my head. That sounds good.
Yeah. So Greg said he understands why, but he says for black people, it's like, it's uncomfortable because Greg says a lot of this, like you just said, you can do your own research. You can read your history, people. You know, so Greg has found himself. He didn't know what the hell white whisperer was either, just like you.
I have no clue. Yeah.
No, because listen, guys like you and him are already ingratiated into a demographic where everybody's everything, right? You're going to a tournament tomorrow. I bet you Bruno's going to be there, right? He's from Brazil. I bet you Angel's going to play with him. He's from Cuba. I bet you know, this dude you're playing with tomorrow is an Italian last name. You know, so you haven't had to become this kind of whisperer person because you're already ingratiated with people, with a demographic of people who are doing their own research, who are answering a lot of these questions on their own.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that much like recently, but I do have to have the conversations like, so I'm in the car with my friend and we're going to, I think we're making a long drive, and you know, she's in her neighborhood and there's a cop. I don't miss him. I see him all the time. If there's a cop, I'm definitely going to see it. No doubt about it. I'm never going to miss it. And you know, she gets to the stop sign and does the old roll through the stop sign and keep on going. And I'm like, dang. I'm like, I don't have anything to hide. And, you know, I just would rather not have any sort of interaction with a police officer because of my previous experiences. And I had to explain to her, like, yo, like I'm not trying to tell you how to like drive your car or anything like that. But, if you could stop at stop signs, completely, especially in front of police, just because like, and she just like didn't get it. She didn't understand why I would ask her to do that, because, you know, it's not that big a deal. Nobody stops at stop signs, and, you know, don't be so paranoid. And it's like, dude, I'm not paranoid. I do all sorts of crazy stuff that I shouldn't be doing, you know, but I just definitely don't do them in front of cops, because I'm going to get pulled over for absolute certain. Like, if I'm driving and that happens, I'm getting pulled over in front of a police officer. You don't have to worry about it. But those are the kind of conversations, and like kind of like just giving them a heads up. And then the very next week, or like it might have been even closer than a week, someone got pulled over, traffic stop, you know, big protest, you know, police brutality type deal. I don't remember which one it was because it happens so often. But then she called me back and she's like, you know what, I really wasn't quite understanding what you were talking about, you know, but I kind of get it now. You know, like, and I'm glad, like, you know, even if she didn't understand it at the time, like, she kept that in the forefront of her mind and thought about me and could kind of relate it to some other situation that was going on in the world. And so that's the kind of stuff that I've, you know, I've been seeing more often, rather than someone just really just hitting me up and asking me, you know, what they should do about this. Actually, I did just have a friend recently kind of reach out to me for something like that. But yeah.
I also think once a vast part of the white population realizes what white privilege actually means, you know, I think it takes a certain level of humility to just take the overall meaning of what white privilege is, and then they can come to more to the middle. Because there's a certain demographic of white people that think white privilege means you got everything that's given to you, and that's not what the term means as a collective whole. I have a friend, Kathy Parent, right? She's an infectious disease person. Her job is to like approve vaccines. She was the one talking about like vaccines for COVID and all that stuff. But her company helps prepare medications to be approved by the FDA and this and that. So I brought her on for that. And she's like, look, for a long time, you know, I didn't think I had a white privilege. She says, Jason, you know me for 25 years. You've seen me come from the bottom. I earned every fucking dollar I had. I don't want to hear this white privilege stuff. She says, but then I realized white privilege wasn't just, it was included to, but not limited to that. Meaning, she's like, look, I can go to a party on the east side, but I can walk home. A cop car goes by, a cop's not going to stop me and ask me where I'm going. You know, she said, I realized that was the privilege I enjoyed, not the privilege of things coming, getting handed to me because I'm white. I mean, maybe that happens too, but if people are using white privilege as that meaning and only as that meaning, can you appreciate where the division is? That's where the division's coming from. I think they need to know what it means as a collective whole. And I think
it doesn't just mean everything that you have that, like you're saying, that's been given to you is part of your white privilege, because I have some of those things too, right? Yeah. And some other person may not. It's like a whole, but
right?
Doesn't LeBron? If I'm in the car have with you and we're driving, and you're driving, the cop asked me for my ID as well. But if I was your white buddy, he wouldn't ask your white buddy in the passenger seat for his ID as well. Like that's in my opinion, that's like kind of the stuff that we're talking about. The other stuff I don't care about, especially the material things that people, that's part of your white privilege. Forget about that. I don't need any of that stuff.
That's not even important in the big.
Yeah, but I want to be able to, you know, walk across the street in Denver at noon with no traffic, without getting a jaywalking ticket, because it's absurd, right? Because that's the type of things that do happen to me. While there are some white people throughout history who have gotten jaywalking tickets, it's primarily something that happens to young black men that they want to just stop and see if they have a warrant, or, you know, give them a ticket for nothing, or kind of, you know, harass. And there's a lot of people who don't understand that, who don't get that. You know, if I don't make a complete stop at a stop sign in front of a police officer, or just, you know, period, he's somewhere I couldn't see him, I've gotten pulled over for that, and given a ticket, and telling them my car smells like weed, even though it doesn't, because they want to search my car, or pulling me over, telling me, why weren't you wearing your seatbelt, you know, multiple times throughout the week when I clearly, dude, my seatbelt's been on the whole time. This is not the only time you pulled me over for not wearing a seatbelt, and wanting to like ask me if I have any weapons, drugs, or whatever it may be. When I get pulled over with my white friends and they're driving, you know, it's like, hey, you know, where are you guys headed today? It's not, you know, where are the drugs and guns? And man, I've had
do you have any weapons in the car? No, it's at home with the dope.
Yeah. In college, dude, me and my buddy lived together in an apartment, and we somehow like managed to get into the school late and register late. And one of the only places we could find was like kind of this like, it was like a slash like old people slash like low income housing, but it wasn't horrible. It was an okay place, right? And apparently someone was going through the neighborhood stealing things out of cars, and not really like burglary in houses, but stealing stuff out of cars. And it was like something that kept happening. And so finally one day, you know, the cops were knocking at our door, and we thought it was because of a party that we had. So we're just like, let's just pretend like we're not home, you know? And about an hour later, they got the maintenance man to open up our apartment. Sheriffs, cops from 3 different counties, state police, all came storming in our house with guns out, dude. And I like walk around a corner and there's a gun in my face. And it was just like a crazy experience because someone had been breaking into cars around the neighborhood. And because we were young and I want to say black, we weren't supposed to have the nice things that we had in our apartment, nice TV, and things like that. So they went through everything we had, obviously found nothing, took our ketchup bottles and poured them out. And even after they didn't find anything, the cops like in my face screaming at me, telling me he knows that I'm the one who's done it. And, you know, I'd like to say that I know that was
an anomaly.
Certainly racism, or like I'd like to, you know, because what else would it be in my mind? You know, all these things that happen to me that don't happen to my white friends. And so no one's coming to me and saying, you know, I don't like you because you're black. Actually, that's happened as well. But on a regular basis, that's not something that happens. But you can definitely feel that you're treated differently. And I know we are all different. If you say you don't see color, then you're dumb, because obviously we're not all the same color. So I get it. We are all different, but I'd like to be afforded the same regular everyday opportunities that I'm not. And so that's the difference between having that white privilege and not having it. And I didn't grow up with that. So, and I grew up in the beginning kind of not really necessarily poor, but didn't really have much. And then moved into more of the suburbs as I got, you know, in my teens or whatever. And it was just a completely different, like, I would have said I would have less experiences about racism growing up in the hood than I would living kind of out in the sticks where I grew up. You know, there was blatant discrimination, you know, on a regular everyday occurrence.
Well, I can relate because my mother, and I told this story on a previous podcast, my mother worked at a law firm at night, Paul Weiss, big law firm. She moved out of the city, so they arranged a car service because she worked till midnight, basically 4 o'clock to midnight. She was doing paralegal work, eventually got her law degree. And this car would take her, limousine service would take her home. So what was happening at that time, there was a gun running operation, or like a sting, where people were buying guns in Ohio or somewhere, or upstate New York, and funneling them into the city via limousine service or car service. So what happened was they stopped my mom, or the driver, right? They asked for his ID. They asked the driver to get out of the car. The driver's white, actually Russian. His name's Igor. And then, tap the window of my mom. My mom rolls down the window and they're like, we need to see some ID. And my mom's like, why? You know, I mean, she didn't even have to ask. I mean, if you know your constitutional rights,
You don't, yeah.
yeah,
You don't have to say anything.
I mean, look, if she were white, she would have been like, I ain't showing you shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is why I
Oh
ask you.
my God.
This is why I ask you the questions, okay? Why don't you tell
Yeah.
me what this is about? You're not asking the
Yeah.
questions. I'm asking the questions. But instead, my mom was like, why? May I ask why? And he's like, and he says, don't be a fucking smartass and give me your ID. And she's like, no, I'm not going to give you my ID. I'm not required to. And he's like, get out of the car. And she's like, no. I'm not going to get out of the car. You know, at the time she requested a supervisor, and the guy broke all kinds of protocol, opened the door, dragged her out of the car, threw her on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, my mom is 55 at the time. Okay, not in the best shape of your life, because when you're doing paralegal shit, you know you're not in shape
Yeah.
to be resisting
Yeah.
or to be in better endurance against police. Threw her on the ground, like really bruised her arm, put his knee like on her neck. Eventually arrested her, or kept her pretty much overnight. My father came 4 a.m, and when my father came, my father's like, listen, he says, you got to just be quiet, okay? They can hold you up to 72 hours without even charging you. And my mom starts yelling at him like, you know, you're supposed to be on my fucking side and this and that. And now my mother and father are having a fight because my father is not thinking, he's not taking their side. My father's like, what's the best way to get you out of jail?
And then we'll handle the situation.
Yes. What's the best?
You
way?
know-
If I gotta pretend, you know, I'm neutral or whatever to get you out of jail, I'm not on their side. So now, because of this guy's actions, now my parents are fighting with each other. My mom almost spent the whole night in jail. She wound up suing them, and won the case. So now the cop. Every time she sees the cop in the supermarket every now and then, so the cop gives her a dirty look, and she's just like, you know, keep paying me, bitch.
But I had a similar thing happen to me. Actually, no charge. I don't have any sort of criminal record or anything like that, obviously. And same thing happened to me on a assumption. And I won't go into detail, but I basically went to jail for 32 or 34 hours over an assumption that ended up getting cleared up. But typically for someone else, that might be like a, you know, well, we're going to look into this, you know, not we're going to impound your car and take you to jail and, you know, hold you in Genesee County, Flint, mind you. But yeah, and it ended up just letting me go with oh, okay, well, maybe we were wrong. See you later.
Just 34 hours.
Those are the reasons why
That's a volleyball tournament.
Yeah, those are the reasons. I literally was coming home from a volleyball tournament. Yeah. And those are the sort of things that make me want to make complete stops in front of cops or like not jaywalk or, you know, like, you know, things that, and I'm not asking to break the law. I just, you know, I don't, who wants to have those sorts of things in their mind, you know? Yeah. Recently you also said something about, your dad having the argument with your mom over what's the best way to respond right now, as opposed to like reacting and making it, you know, blow up any more than it is so that you can just get out of jail. Right.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a girl. She told me that I said, you know, I look at a lot of the dash cam footage for police altercations where it's like police brutality or something like that. And you know how we talked about women who have been raped and how
I remember that.
As women, we have to put ourselves in the best ourselves. They have to put themselves in the best situation possible before something like that occurs. I'm not saying I'm not accepting rapists, right? I don't accept that. But I also,
and you're not trying to say they had it coming. I mean, that's
even for my sisters, I just want to see them safe, right? I want to see them safe. So let's think of the protocol and what we can do to make sure that things are de-escalated rather than escalated, right? So I want those same situations and those same scenarios to help, especially people of color who get pulled over by police. Because if it's me, this is the way I'm going to think about this, right? If it's me, I want all of my rights. I want every single right that someone else has, right? But if I know that I don't get those rights, am I going to be a dick to the police officer? Am I going to ever escalate my voice? Am I ever going to move my hands from the steering wheel? And this girl was telling me, like, no, you should be able to do those things. You do that and you tell them this and you tell them off. And I'm like, I'll let you let your kids do that.
Yeah,
But
please.
my kids, when I have kids, I'm going to have a conversation with them and how to act around police officers, not to scare them, not to make them paranoid, but just because it's just a talk that you're going to have as a color or as an African-American person in the United States. It's just something that you're going to have to do. I'm not going to let the situation, I'm not losing my life right now over something that I should be afforded. Okay. Because I want to go home. I've been through the situation before where I've been in the car and someone else is yelling at the police, and I'm just sitting over here like, yo, I don't know why they're yelling at you
Yeah,
like
you
that.
feel like a hooker in
I don't
church,
have
man.
any
You're just trying
problems.
to, you're just trying to sit still.
Yeah, because my white friends, they swear at the cops, like they tell them off and get out of the car,
Yeah.
bro.
Fuck you,
They
dude.
get out of the car.
Fuck you, dude. My boss is my daddy's gonna have your badge, asshole.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
you,
can
man.
never get out of the car. When they come by, I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, well, he's like, can I get your license and registration? I'm like, well, I'm just going to leave my hands right here for a second. And I'm like, it's in the glove box. Do you mind if I take this hand off the steering wheel and grab it out of the glove box? And you may think I'm being funny or facetious or, being paranoid, but
it's not funny and I'm laughing.
It's not, but they come up to the door with their hand on their gun half the time. I've had guns pulled on me multiple times and I'm not a thug, so I don't understand it. I don't get it. I play volleyball.
Do you know I'm laughing? I saw this video this dude put on Facebook a few years ago, where the cop stops a black guy. It's like a parody, and the guy said, "Keep your hands on the steering wheel." He says, "Now with your right hand, I want you to reach in your glove box and show me your registration." He reached. I said, "Keep your fucking hands on the steering wheel." Are you going to give me a registration or not?
Yeah.
What did I say? You want to get shot? Yeah. Boom. All right, fine. Take the keys, throw them out.
You know what it is that not every cop's a racist, right? But you know how we were talking about people who have this certain perception of black people. Like, these cops get nervous, dude. You can see it. They're nervous and they're shaking and like they're scared. But like, to assume that every black man is an aggressor or someone who's going to shoot you would be like me assuming that every white man is a racist Trump supporter that's going to hang me. Like I just can't go through life like that, and so we got to somehow figure out a way to charge at that situation and try to, like, because if you're that scared, you probably shouldn't be. You didn't sign up for the right job. And, you're gonna be scared at a traffic stop, but to not be able to control your emotions or adrenaline or be a critical thinker in a crazy situation, being a police officer is probably not for you. And so when you have these guys who, in my opinion, no offense to police officers, there are a lot of great police officers, but then you get the few that are like, bullied in high school and
pretty cool.
and wanted to be in the army and wanted to be a Marine, but couldn't go because they had flat feet. And now the only people that accept them are the police academy, because there's no screening. Basically, you can be a police officer in like a few months or whatever it is. So if you get those kind of guys, and like I said, I don't think of every police officer like this. There are tons of police officers that I've met that are cool, that are chill. But you will get the ones that are looking for a little bit of power because they, never had any. And the only people that it will accept them, ironically enough, are the people who should be the calmest and most, compassionate humans. Now, obviously, there's a time for aggression when you're a police officer. You're there to protect people and protect yourself and go home to your wife and kids and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is a tough situation because, like I said, not every police officer is like that. And so people think that if I say Black Lives Matter, then that means that I hate all police officers. And I don't. Like, I need you guys. If someone's breaking into my house, I hope you come. I hope you come, quick,
Yeah.
So.
In fact, I'll lay on the ground and wait for you to come in. I just want this dude this burglar out of my house.
Yeah, I'm going to yell, white woman in trouble.
But clearly. I'm going to let that rest for like 5 seconds. Let everybody take that in. And good.
Okay. We're
No,
back.
but clearly because of the neighborhoods that we've moved to and visited or whatever, there's enough correlation to suggest that police departments are run differently, right? Like Hermosa Beach Police Department is not the same as like NYPD
Never had an
in
issue.
Harlem, you know?
Never had
Cool
an
dudes.
issue there living in Hermosa. Like I jaywalk and skateboard all down the middle of the street and all sorts. I know.
No, but you
people are on
know what they say though, right? Oh, that's Jeff. And that's where I think
Maybe,
no,
yeah.
but that's where I think good police training comes in. Like this whole defund the police thing. I say take the same funds and redirect and allocate those resources into one, training cops better,
training them.
make
Thank you.
longer academies. Two, make the salaries competitive. Because if the salaries are competitive, guess what? Smarter
You get
people,
better cops.
Smarter people.
Yeah.
We don't. You don't have to
Yeah.
enlist these whatever. Do you know like a story?
Yeah, so that's a great idea. Defunding the police. We mean it in a way where, like, defund. They get incentives too on on stuff like that, on drug busts and all that sort of stuff. So like maybe taking some of that money they get from those sort of things when we talk about defunding police, put it back into training. Put it back into the whatever the body is that overlooks police protocol. You know what I'm saying? To do more, because like anything that's being done is being done better every day. How come policing hasn't gotten any better than the 60s when my mom was born? Like how come policing hasn't gotten any better? Because no one's tried. Cell phones are getting better every day. Cars look cooler every day. The two things that don't get any better are education and police departments. Those are two things that haven't gotten any better.
I agree.
Like the equipment's gotten better, but the mentality and the criteria and the content, I guess you would say, that it hasn't gotten any better. Like there's no new information.
I would suggest to you that it hasn't gotten better. I would say it stayed very much the same. And the thing that makes it look worse is it's getting filmed. Will Smith,
Oh, yeah.
Will
People
Smith
have
once
access.
said, racism isn't getting worse, it's getting filmed.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten much. And actually racism has gotten better in a sense where people have learned how to control themselves a little bit better to where they're not actually out at KKK rallies. Like they got their little forum that they're in where they can hide behind their keyboard and, like they're like, it's gotten more covert. So like racists have gotten better. I don't think the amount of racist people or racism has gotten greater or deteriorated at all. I think it's right on par with where it's always been.
Yeah.
Until maybe even now, maybe since it's so it's not advertised, but I guess it kind of is like it's advertised now. It's so out in the open now that you're actually starting to get some people who are just coming out and being blatant racist, like just don't care, and like we said, I think I told you is what kind of scares me about the whole, people say Trump is racist, not racist, whatever, that whole movement of these people are willing to like wear their hats out in public. Like we don't even, nobody, have you seen a Biden hat? Have you seen one
no.
Biden hat?
No, because they don't believe
Biden
believe in him. They're just trying to get rid of Trump.
Yeah, that's true.
Biden is
that
going
scares
into
me.
November
That
on a
scares me.
dementia drumstick. Okay, Jeff? Biden has only got 2 marbles rolling around. And you know what?
Yeah.
And I still believe even him on a dementia drumstick is still better than Trump. And that's right now. And I'm a very, very, I'm like an independent. I don't have a horse to back here. But it's the Democrats' dirty little secret that they had brighter minds than Biden. They had more brilliant people. They had
Bernie's
more brilliant people
better
than
Biden, but you might not
Buttigieg
be able to.
was, Tulsi Gabbard was, and Yang was, Elizabeth Warren is whatever they could say about her was, as far as mind is concerned, sharp as a tack. We, as a collective whole, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, refuse to believe that the most qualified and the smartest and sharpest candidate that they can come up with was Biden. No, Biden is someone that they can control. And also Trump has been so bad the last 3 years. Their establishment knows that they can put anybody there and beat Trump. Well, at least that's what they're counting on.
I don't know, man.
It's
Sounds like
Kamala
a setup.
Harris.
Sounds like a setup to me.
No, but Kamala Harris, right?
Sounds like a setup.
The weird thing is like Kamala Harris. It wasn't. I think she's very smart, and I think she's got a very strong chin. You know, she's got a very thick skin, but she's very vulnerable on her record. She's very vulnerable on her record. I told my friends, I said, do you know who's more happy? Because CNN made it look like a ticker tape parade that he chose her as the VP. And I said, do you know who's more happier than the Democrats that they chose this woman? The Republicans.
Yeah.
The Republicans. They're licking their chops over this. But they're not excited about her debating Pence because they know she's going to wipe the floor with Pence. Pence is not a good debater. And Kamala Harris, she doesn't have to pull punches because it's not a Democratic primary. She went after Biden hard, and I don't know if you remember, Tulsi Gabbard took her down on her record. Like, Tulsi Gabbard basically just said, like, look, you incarcerated people for marijuana, and then when people asked you if you smoked marijuana, you laughed. You know what I'm saying? You blocked someone that was on death row. You blocked evidence that could have exonerated him, and it took a judge for to rule the evidence to be in. So she's like, I think you kind of owe those people an apology too.
Yeah.
So, and it was so weird. Here it is, actually.
Hi, it's Sam Barker
Sorry
here
about
from
that.
the Motley Fool. Behind me is Landmark Mall.
Sorry, let me see if I could just skip ahead.
Senator Harris, you have also
would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack
years in
So
state-
she's coming after Joe
with
on his
Senator
supposed
Harris
racism.
confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice
So Jeff, stick with us
system
for a sec.
that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Dude, and I'll tell you this. If a Democrat can do that, don't you think the Republicans are waiting for this? You know?
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah, we'll see.
I'm going to stay out of the whole politics thing. I'm going to vote.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to
I'm
vote
not.
too. I mean, right. If you ask me today, November's November, right? We're in August. It's a long time from now. If someone asked me today, most likely Biden, because I trust the cabinet, the administration, like Medicare for all. Not sure if he's on board, but the people around him are. Education reform. Kamala Harris is big on that. She's so big, she wanted to pass a bill that throws the parents in jail. That will throw the parents in jail if their kids don't go to school. That's some cold shit. So the environment, I'm big on those things. If there was a Republican running or an independent running that was big on that, I'd vote for them. Last time I voted for Jill Stein. I couldn't in good conscience vote for Hillary or Trump. Elections are won and lost all the time, but like Jeff, our values have to stay the same. And we both know, Jeff, you lived your entire life, and we both know whoever's in office, maybe only once or twice in their life, they're going to do something that affects you directly. All right. A state senators, yeah. Assemblymen, yes.
Yeah.
This
This is about voting in the right direction.
No,
It's
but
not
Congress
about
people,
voting.
those are the people that affect real change. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying you're right. It's more about voting in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, voting for Trump or, you don't believe in Trump or you believe in this. Like, I think voting in the right direction because it's more toward what my views are.
Yeah.
Which is why I can't vote for Trump.
Yeah. I mean, again, right? Elections are won and lost all the time, but your values, like do I have to? Here's the conflict. Do I have to swallow my beliefs and vote for this guy because I don't want that guy? That's the
Exactly.
that's the conflicting forces of this coming election, right? That's what's going on. Do I have to just eat it and vote for this guy?
It's one of the biggest elections in history. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of feeling. It's like the
Shit. You know who I'd vote for if they ran? Jesse Ventura. Tulsi Gabbard was my number one pick because she's anti-war and she's anti-regime changing war. She doesn't believe in going in and defoliating a place and not leaving some kind of infrastructure where we leave the country worse than we did before, right? Like Assad. It was said that Assad was bombing his own people, and she went over there, and they called her an Assad apologist. But what happened was, she's on the she's on the Committee of Foreign Affairs, and she's on the Committee for Homeland Security. So she went on a fact-finding mission, and Assad yanked her up. What are you doing in my country? We need to talk, and that's what happened. And Jeff, if you're president. And if you want to meet with Kim, or if you want to meet with the dude from China, you want to meet with Putin and you want to talk to them, I don't call you an apologist. If the only other available option is war, if the only other available option is, besides talking, is going to war, just because you and like 30 people disagree on something, thousands of people have to die for nothing, right? I don't hate Russian. I ain't got a problem with no Russian people. There are volleyball players there, right? Like you, that are not into this gangster shit, right? There are people that drive a bus. There are people who are mailmen that are just trying to make money and support their kids. Same thing in Korea, same thing in China, same thing everywhere. There are people that are not down. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna call it gangster shit, all right? Because I call them Demo Crips and Republicans, Ooh, I think I want to take this time to apologize to Crips and Bloods, all right? Sorry about that. No, but the point I was trying to make, full-blown war doesn't affect those people that have that have their own agenda or their own political gain. The people that stand to lose are us. I served. I'm a Gulf War vet. My sister, 2 tours in Afghanistan. My father, Vietnam. Grandfather, World War II. So, I mean, it's not like I don't know anything about showing up.
Right.
So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take us that far off, man, because I know, politics on this heightened level is not something that interests you unless you see change that makes you give a shit. Right? People talk change, but
people talk a lot.
Still looking for that damn elusive change. Quick question. Did you ever see Fifth Element? Bruce Willis? Chris Tucker. I just saw that last night.
That's a great movie.
God
I
damn.
might have to download that one for the flight.
God damn, that dude is funny. Chris Tucker went, Kobe. Oh my God, Kobe. Kobe, there's someone coming. Oh shit, Kobe, there's 3 of them. Yo.
Yeah, that's exactly the movie. Okay, yeah. Orange
wow.
Hair Lady, that's it.
God, it was so funny, man. I'm bringing it up. It's random. No friggin' reason at all. I just wanted to know. It was on last night. I couldn't sleep. And I'm just so, it was a movie full of supermodels, Bruce Willis, an A-lister, and Chris
Tucker was probably my favorite.
Oh my God, dude. Oof. So
hair was a little gnarly, but he's still my guy.
He had a little
I love Chris Tucker.
Like a big piece of doo-doo right there on the top of his foot.
But also did Friday. How can you be the same guy?
Oh, come on. Rush Hour. I saw him in a more serious movie, Dead Presidents, with Lawrence Tate. Lauryn Hill.
Money Talks?
Ooh! With Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
with Charlie Sheen. I love it. He's like, look, he says, I love this girl more than anything else, okay? He says, if you mess this up with me, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He's like, I will beat your ass. You're not beating shit, homie. Those two together was so good. That's a movie that made you laugh, right? Money Talks.
Yeah.
I
could still watch that one. Like, those movies are fire. I could still watch those. I think like kids today, but like people younger than me, they're like, I can't watch this movie. Like they don't know it's not like what they're used to. But that's up my alley all day.
Cool. Tell Tim Driscoll where you're playing. He asked what your next tournament was, and we talked about it in the beginning of it. Wilmington, and that's tomorrow. Is it a 2-day tournament?
Yeah, I actually got to get in the car and get rolling right now. Actually.
All right, I got to make you uncomfortable before you leave. Where's the weirdest place you ever had sex?
Oh.
Don't you turn that camera off. Where are you going?
Really? Is this
Weirdest place you ever had
question?
sex? It's the option.
I'm a
option
virgin.
podcast. Oh, in studio?
Probably rooftop sauna. How about that?
It's pretty exotic.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Do you think people are going to be like, I'm appalled, I'm disgusted? They're going to be like, I'm jealous.
Yeah. No, it was. I can't even go into details.
No. Well, me, doctor's office.
Off air, we'll have this conversation.
For me, doctor's office, which we will continue off air. And in an elevator. Doing one of those. Central Park. All right. Damn, just when it was getting interesting, you gotta go.
Oh, I could have said Huntington or Manhattan Beach Pier, under the Manhattan Beach Pier that we go. I've been there.
Yes. Is that like the place to be? Because I think Greg Faulkner told me the same thing. I just air Greg's laundry.
I wasn't even living there at the time, so that was just like I didn't have a place to go.
Tim Driscoll said, I got a jaywalking on Water Street along with my buddy. Oh, man. The cop was on a power trip the whole time.
Yeah.
Let's see who else posted. Chris Chips, what's up, babe? We are products of our environment. Technology allows us to see past our homes, which has opened our eyes. Thank God. Hybrid players, talking about volleyball. I nicknamed you the hybrid, didn't I, for a little while? The hybrid? Someone that could block, that could play defense, that could do it all. Very, Black Trevor Crabb,
I like the Taylor myself, but, it's cool.
Yeah. So you blocking tomorrow? You splitting, or what's the deal?
Back on the block, baby.
All right, cool. Well, shouldn't apologize for being good at what you do, right?
Trapping fools tomorrow.
But I use Trevor as an example because if you look at him height-wise, he's not someone that fits the stereotype of open level or world-class full-time, front row blocker.
No, you said the hybrid. I was like thinking of another word that was like a synonym with hybrid, and I said like the tailor, because like I can fit any style I need to, right? I'm like, I can tailor my game to whatever I need, like adapt. I can tailor that shit. I'm tailor made for whatever. I can tailor make whatever situation.
That's what I mean. That's what hybrid. That's what I meant by hybrid.
So I wasn't talking about Taylor Crabb.
No, of course not. No, Taylor, man, right now is all world on defense and digging. But I was just trying to get you to appreciate like anyone that's like, oh, I thought he'd be taller, and really in a big scheme of things, to you, either you could do it or you can't, and you can. So yeah, I know you got to get out of here. I was trying to make this interesting, trying to put you on the spot. We still got.
If you got wives to answer to, I'm good. If you got anything else, I'm good.
Yes. Oh, one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Meritocracy. Meaning being judged or
can you spell that? I'm just kidding. Can you use it in a sentence?
When I applied for this coaching job, I was under the impression that meritocracy came into play, being judged on the merits of what I've done. I talked to a surfer, Gigi Lucas. She's an activist and a surfer trying to get more African-American, particularly women, African-American women to surf. And I talked to Renee Marcellus, who was actually doing the live stream for the qualifier. And Renee brought up something very interesting, and I'm bringing it back full circle. Renee said volleyball is probably the biggest meritocracy as far as sports are concerned. Like either you get on the court and either you can play or you can't. And I answered her like this, and you tell me if you agree or not. I'm like, to me, it's like me and Jeff running stairs. Like there's a corporate challenge, we're running stairs in a skyscraper. If I run 44 stairs and you run 66, that's a meritocracy because it's the same amount of stairs, and that's a meritocracy. However, getting in the building to run the stairs is not, right?
No.
If I could find a way to not let you in that building, I'm probably, and even though you deserve it, even though you can run longer, and even though you should be in the building competing, and that's what I pointed out to Renee, and that's where Gigi Lucas kind of agree with me. So as far as volleyball is concerned, I put it this way, like Buttinger, whatever, and these guys, of course the wins are meritocracy, but being the training groups, who people choose as their training partner, the coaches and this and that doesn't always come into play. And it sounds like I'm starting shit, but there are so many people that are in the draw right now that I think you're just as good at, if not better, I'm not going to call them the product of their environment. No, fuck that. I will call them the product of their environment.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
100%. You got to look at, and this is something I know that other people, it's hard to explain to them, but I have to be better, because look at it this way. Here's an example. Fresh out the gate, okay, from the time they started playing beach volleyball, who would you rather pick up as a partner on their very first pro event? Ryan Doherty or Chris Johnson?
That's being
If they
real.
just started playing volleyball, who would you rather pick up?
Well, I'm not a South Bay guy, but my answer is going to surprise you. I pick up KJ because he's more
I don't
mobile.
think that surprises me. It's a blatant, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. From the time they both started playing beach volleyball, Ryan came from,
Baseball.
don't get me wrong, Ryan's an amazing player. I'm not knocking him. He's done everything he needed to do to get where he's at, right? But who would you rather pick? Who would I rather pick just starting out playing beach volleyball? How come nobody picked up this guy and turned him into a superstar right from the very beginning? No one picked him up.
And he had all the tools.
Attitude. Guy's got a great attitude. Works really
that's what I was
hard.
going to say. The muscles between his ears complement his physical, volleyball build. The man's built to play the sport. And an indoor oppo?
I don't know.
An
That's
indoor
a hard-
middle and oppo?
That's a hard question for me to answer. I mean, I could think of a couple guesses, but then I would be,
Baiting.
reverse racism or baiting or whatever you want to call it. But that's just me. There's plenty of guys who are, who, don't get me wrong, they do their part and they do well, but they get picked up just because, I grew up in the South Bay, or, I went to this school or that school or whatever. If you want me to throw it out there, I'll throw it out there again. White privilege. So
Yep. Yeah. I'll give you a better example. Our guy, Rob McLean. I was coaching him in Manhattan Beach. We played Bill Kalinsky and Eric Baranek. Eric Baranek is this ferocious defender. Him and Eric made it to the semifinals. There weren't a whole lot of people that took a set from them. We took a set from them because Robert McLean, as far as being a hybrid defender, you should see him now the last 12 months. My God. He was basically an elongated version of Baranek. Every time Eric got a hitting attempt, Rob was there, sitting in it, lunging, diving. They had all the same moves, but Eric is part of, that certain training group that Rob isn't even,
it actually all boils down to, as well as like being in those niche or those niches of people, of demographic where you're like, you're a part of the crew. And who would you rather pick up? It's not like you're thinking about being a racist, but who would you rather pick up? Homeboy that went to, this high school right next to yours, or some guy who came here from New York who's not really in your clique of immediate friends and, knows this guy and that guy that you guys all know together, or your dads played this together. Like, and it is what it is to a sense, because you have to kind of know going into it. And that's not necessarily racism, but you have to know going into what you're doing, what you're going up against. And I already knew that. So it's not like I came in thinking that I was going to move to the South Bay and, become best friends with this guy or that guy just because I'm good at volleyball, right? But I also, what could be a detriment to someone of color going into a situation like that, or even someone who's outside of the niche, would be having that preconceived notion that someone's going to treat you differently because you are that newcomer person or a black person coming into a sport that is primarily white, because then you go into a situation with kind of like a complex, your own complex on the situation, which is going to hold you back, right? Because then I'm going to treat you, if you're from the South Bay, I'm going to treat you like, oh, this guy isn't going to show me the time of day anyways. And so he's going to, in then turn, treat me how I want to be treated, right? Because I've basically put my guard up, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't go into it thinking that you're going to just automatically get into these groups or whatever, being an outsider. But you also can't put your guard up, and you got to have yourself in the receiving mode, right? So you have to have yourself put yourself in the best place to take advantage of an opportunity if it were to arise, right? It still may not, or you may have to make or create this opportunity, but it's definitely cliquey. It's definitely like a keep it in the South Bay type of thing, but it's not like they get together and have a meeting about
like
it.
a white guy meeting. No, but you brought up a very good point.
Yeah, it's not a racism thing. It's almost even more of like a class thing, not even black and white, because I know some people who aren't necessarily white people who are part of the clique, that and so I don't think it's like in volleyball like a racism thing. It's like you're saying, it's a meritocracy.
Yeah, but you brought up a very good point. Like Eric Baranek is a Redondo kid, right? I'm using him as an example. So yeah, typically, and he's the one showing up every day. This is the group I want to be a part of. So
he shows up every day. So man. The guy works hard. It's not, you can't take anything away from Eric Baranek, right?
No,
can't take anything away from him. He's worked for everything that he has. I've pretty much been able to watch him go from, being the newcomer guy, and now he's taking thirds or so AVP. So.
And I'm happy for him because
you can't get there and not do the work. I hope that's not what people think we're saying.
No,
but at the same time, I think we do, especially if you are one of those people who complain about how much money volleyball doesn't make, or how much airtime it doesn't get, or how they can compare it to football or basketball and where it needs to be, right? If you're one of these people, then you also need to be someone who's promoting volleyball on multiple levels, right? Promoting diversity, promoting inclusion instead of exclusion, right? So because we need different types of people to appeal to different types of people. You can't think that you're going to be able to put volleyball on a mainstream and only promote not only to white America, but to a very small demographic of white America that is like the South Bay. Volleyball pretty much only appeals to that type of person. And I don't mean that it has to be in the South Bay, but basically someone who's grown up on a beach, or, you see, someone sent me a DM recently and was like, it was a screen recording on their phone of all the AVP players on the website. And they went down and they were just like, basically like white. Like they were like telling me, oh, then Jeff, there's you. And it kind of dawned on me, and it struck that obviously volleyball is great and it's a great experience and the ride's going to continue to be awesome, but I have to do my part to kind of help it grow for other people like myself who didn't grow up in the South Bay playing volleyball, and once again, I'm not knocking volleyball or the people in it, because the people who are great at the sport did everything that they were supposed to do to get themselves there, right? But what I'd say is to take it a step further, to grow the game. If you really want to grow the game, everyone talks about growing the game. Where are we growing the game? Because it's fully grown on the beaches of Florida and California, but it's not in other places. So if you want to grow the game, you can't grow big fish in small ponds. You can't grow. You can't. We're too big for our small fish tank.
No, because you'd eat yourself. If it's too big for the pond, you'd eventually eat yourself. You'd eat yourself to death.
That's the goal right now. That's been the whole goal. This whole endless bummer, I guess you would say.
Yep.
It's been the goal this whole time. I've been working with some people on some new things, organizations that, I've actually come out and asked the league to help me with, actually AVP Academy or whatever, to actually do. And
Doesn't exist anymore.
It didn't seem like it was something that they wanted to be a part of as far as growing the game in other areas, unless they've done something I don't know about. But
yeah. But I'm so glad that you pointed out, like, this isn't the race baiting episode or the episode where it's completely about race. But I think for people who get stuck in false dichotomies, Jeff, where you're either talking about this in its entirety or that, and dismiss the fact that these things are both have to be talked about. Like, it's not one or the other. These things are binary. They're not these things, like Eric, the hard work you put in, and how classism and some racism might come into play with some of the training groups and development and player development, are not separate things. Right? There is a meritocracy, but there is something else that's an uncomfortable subject that a lot of people aren't talking about. Dude, this whole podcast, I'm on episode 50 right now. This is the kind of work these are the kind of things, if I'm going to continue to be a volleyball podcast and not just have theater performers, which I could just do tomorrow, that I want everyone to talk about. I want the cultural awareness to come into play. I want the positive things of cultural awareness to come into play. You're a positive thing for a cultural awareness. Chrissy Jones, right now, that girl is a boss.
Oh, you'd think
Chrissy Jones?
You would think that
in her 20s, like 20, 22, 23 years old?
You would think that a league who has had struggles growing in the past would take advantage of a time such as now to promote any sort of diverse, even if, let's just say it's not Chrissy, okay, cool. Maybe they don't want to go that
Maybe that's
far,
a little too
quick.
dark.
Maybe we go with Brandy. Yeah, maybe we go with
the light skin. Okay.
I'm just saying, wouldn't you think that maybe they would, and it doesn't have to be super in your face and blatant, but wouldn't you think that would be something that they could say, we could be helping and taking advantage of a situation at the same time.
Again, right? It doesn't have to be exclusive, right? It could be binary. Because Chrissy Jones is right there. Chrissy Jones, by the way, didn't fall in their lap. I watched the Hermosa Beach Open last year. I watched that girl go from the qualifier and just hose people in the qualifier, and then the main draw, hose people all the way up to the semifinals until Betsy Flint was like, that's enough of this rookie shit. I'm tired of looking at these.
There's a reason why there's only been one African American to do what Dane Blanton has done. Where did Dane Blanton grow up?
Malibu.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other black players have grown up in Southern California?
Yeah. And why isn't he in the top 25 beach players?
So, like I said, it's not just a systemic racism thing, and I don't think that volleyball people even think of it like that, and I don't really think of it like that to an extent of maybe like how hockey is. But I do
real.
think
if he didn't win an Olympic gold medal, would he be on that commentary team? Damn, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm just, dude. I mean, these are questions where people think, oh, that's not true. This is not true.
I don't really know. Mm-hmm. I don't really know, but what I'm going back even further, and I'm going to say that it wouldn't be a thing if he didn't grow up where he grew up. I don't think.
Right.
I just don't think it would be. I think he had don't get me wrong. I think he has all the tools to facilitate that dream that he had to winning an Olympic medal. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that a lot of things for him had to be. I'm not saying given to him. He worked for everything. But, we got to look at, okay, well, where did he go to high school? That gets you one step in the door with the next guy. I went to high school with these few guys, and then the branch keeps growing. Where did I go to college? I don't remember where Dane went to. He went to USC?
No, he went to Pepperdine. He won.
Pepperdine.
His sophomore year, he won in NCAA.
Yeah. Oh, and he's a baller. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But then that's going to open the door and spread the branches out to a few more, right? And then, you know, picking up that first partner for the AVP or whatever it may be, like that's going to keep. And that's what also works for most people who are on the AVP tour, as opposed to someone like a Ty Loomis, who didn't grow up there, right? Has the tools, right? But and he's mostly in the clique, but you know, Ty came from Atlanta, right? I don't know if he ever feels like he experiences that or whatever, but if you want the sport to grow, and I'm not saying don't be proud of your South Beach heritage and, you know, all the stuff where, you know, you're a local, cool, that's great. But if you want your sport to get any bigger, it's like, we want to keep it Southern California, but we don't want to grow. But we also want to grow the sport. Like, you can't keep it Southern California and also grow the sport to get big sponsors and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's just not, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And for the people listening at home and watching this is, if you can't identify, and if you have more examples that contradict what we're saying, we're not saying that we're completely right. All right. And we're not saying that we're completely right. All me and Jeff are trying to say, and I'm gonna speak for you on this one, is that this is a subject matter that other people are talking about. This is a subject matter that other people, as far as asking questions like, how come they don't do this? How come they don't do that? These are real questions that other people are asking. So it's not like Jeff and I, you know, that room is filled with smoke. It's not like he smoked and it was like, let's just talk some shit and see what kind of trouble. Yeah, see what kind of trouble we can start. Good, because Driscoll said he thought the room was on fire. No, but the point is, Jeff, I'm not even saying our assertions are 100% correct. All I'm saying is that this is being talked about. This is being talked about, and
hopefully.
No, but and if it isn't, it should be, and more people need to be aware, you know. And everybody that knows me, I mentioned Eric a bunch of times. You mentioned Ryan Dougherty, nothing but love. So they know it. We're not using this to put on Front Street their white privilege. That's not what's going on here. That's not what we're doing, because there was a meritocracy. But Dane Blanton, the dude is only one of two players to win an NCAA championship, an AVP Open level championship, and an Olympic gold medalist. Only Karch Karai, as far as men are concerned, only Karch Karai is the trifecta guy. Sorry.
I said I look to him as a mentor. If I call him and ask him, you know, anything, you know, the guy is a great guy. He's worked hard, very smart guy who's made the best of it. He's one of the best players we've seen. I feel like he's a little underrated in talks of things. But yeah, I don't take anything away from anyone. Hopefully when you heard me say that, you know, a lot of things had to go right for a Dane Blanton for, you know.
But Dane would not disagree with that. Dane would not Dane would agree with you on that. Dane will not. He will not. You won't hear him fight you on that one. He knows that there are certain pieces that have to fall into place to make that possible. I mean,
don't get me wrong.
But people said him and Eric weren't even the best team representing the U.S. when they went to the Olympics. They said they weren't even.
They grew into the best team quickly. They weren't, but you're right. They barely made it in past. Forgot who it was, but they barely made it in one of the last FIVBs. They had to take like a fifth or something like that, or a third or something, and they ended up getting that to make it in. But yeah, I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the people who are there don't deserve to be there. That's not what I'm saying. I think they all do deserve to be there, or they wouldn't be there. Obviously, you have to put the work in, and it applies to myself as well, right? But it's just like what I was saying with anything else earlier in the day, is that everyone should be, at least we should attempt to afford everyone the same opportunities. Right, whether we get there or not, it at least needs to be, I feel like, attempted, and I don't feel like it is inclusive. I don't feel like it's inclusive.
Again, I would like to quote Chris Rock. He said, "I live in Alpine, New Jersey." He says he has a mansion out there, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? And he says in his neighborhood, in Alpine, New Jersey, there are 4 black people that live in his neighborhood: Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige, and Eddie Murphy. And he says, my next door neighbor, he says he's not African American, he's white. And he says, do you know what his job is? He's a dentist. He wasn't published in any of the dental journals. He didn't come up with some invention and revolutionize
regular old
dentistry.
dentist.
He's just a regular pull your teeth dentist. He says, now I want you to appreciate this. Eddie Murphy, one of the top 3 stand-up comedians of all time. Mary J. Blige, dubbed by Aretha Franklin the new queen of soul. He says, me, I do all right, you know. Jay-Z, one of the top 2 rappers of all, hip hop artists of all time. To me, it's him and Eminem, the white guy and the black guy. And he says, but the guy next to me is just a dentist. He said, do you know what a black dentist would have to do to live in my neighborhood? He'd have to invent teeth. I'm summarizing what we were saying by this humorous story so people can appreciate. Like, we're not saying black people ain't doing all right on the AVP. They're doing all right. But we are saying that there is a 100-meter dash and there is a starting block that might be a little further away for someone that's not, like you said, a regional popularity. Or dare we flirt, a few shades darker. Maybe their starting block is at 120 meters for that 100-meter dash. And this is not starting shit. This is Jeff, even if I'm wrong, even if you or me are wrong, this is a reality that people are feeling. People that aren't part of this region, this beautiful, gorgeous bubble I live in and enjoy, and as far as privilege is concerned. This is a question that other people are asking. And I don't think it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about. I think it's fun. You remember you were talking about, like you said, anyone that doesn't see race is stupid. I think seeing race is fun.
Yeah.
I think looking at your complexion right now and looking at that Tyrone Woodley beard you're rocking, that is a black man rocking a like a Malcolm X beard.
Well, yeah,
and it's
we're all
fun.
different.
We
I
celebrate
get it.
it.
No one's. People say we're all born equal, but we're clearly not born equal. That's not true. And if you say you don't see color, then you're blind. We're different. Everyone's different. There's different people for a reason. But that reason is not to exclude them or exclude them for anything, or simply based on their class or color, man. I hope it's something we can get by. It's been something that's been brought out into the light more recently, and I'm very grateful for that. I know a lot of people are a little scared about things that are going on right now, but they got to realize for anything to get better, it has to be once it's seen. It's a lot easier to pick through and sift through the BS and kind of get the right vibes going again. So. Yeah. I'm very grateful for this. I've had a lot of people who have kind of reached out and let me know how they feel and how they weren't necessarily someone who was, a racist or something, but they kind of understand how black people are getting treated in America, or people of color, not only black people, minorities are being treated. And a lot of people are fed up with it. No matter what color or creed they come from. So that's something for me to kind of celebrate, actually. So I'm pretty happy about that.
And I'm so glad you put it that way. And maybe we wrap up like that. All right, before I ask you something else that might catch you by surprise.
Yeah. You get me in some real trouble here.
Kelly, wherever you are out there, I love you. She's actually upstairs, ready to drop kick me. All right, so let's I'm gonna cue up my music and we're gonna wrap up.
Prince, my nephew, Prentice, I love you, buddy. Happy birthday.
Yes. Anything else you want to plug before you go? Like any a particular site or your sponsor?
Rad Roller, Isopure, and the hemp train. Let's go, baby. Oh, and Carmen's Auto Sales, Detroit, Michigan. Let's go.
Dude, yeah, yo. I saw the picture. You look good, man. I still got the picture of you in the suit, man. I'm like, why am I?
Oh, we're getting back into
Why do
it.
I still have that picture of Jeff? Or should I delete this shit? No, you look good.
That's for Nets podcast. Big things happening, buddy.
Yeah. So watch your
All right,
volleyball players in suits, man. All right. So listen, for everybody at home and for everybody on your iPhones, it's at Starbucks or waiting on your lunch line. For everybody who's on your iPad, got one right here. For everybody who's on your desktop, who runs the world, old school. For Jeff Samuels, you stay with me after this cue. For Jeff Samuels, I am Jason DeBeers, and I speak for both of us when I say, we're out.
We're out.
Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.